Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Destina. This is Spiritually Bougie Astrology, and we're going to be taking a deep dive look into the new moon in Gemini that is coming in just a few days. It's a few days away. It's getting pretty close. I don't know about any of you guys, but I'm already starting to see the little synchronistic patterns towards that new moon coming through, and I had the most hilarious thing happen this morning. It's hilarious to me. It might not be hilarious to you guys, but it's freaking hilarious to me, and I'm going to tell you about it anyways. I post memes all the time. If you follow the Spiritually Bougie page, like I post memes and I tie the transit to it because it's just an extra way that people can kind of like get an idea of how the energy could play out. Is it that particular meme for everybody? No. It's just a way that it can be read depending on your houses. I also post memes on my personal page. Oh my God, God forbid, a Gemini that likes to post memes and do it all the time. I posted a meme this morning, and it was a scene. I think it's from the show Stranger Things. I haven't actually watched that show, and I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, "What?" No, I haven't watched it. I'm pretty sure it's from Stranger Things, and it's like the guy's like, "This is our friend." In the little edit underneath, it was like, "This is our friend, and she's a witch." I get called a witch all the time, and the thing is, like, I've studied Wicca. I actually studied it when I was really, really young. I studied it when I was young because if you've listened to me for a while, you know that I have been very open about the fact that there was a part of my life that I was literally denied access to my family, to my heritage, to the things that I was wanting to be a part of that I knew I was supposed to be a part of. And for reasons I don't need to get into on here, but I was being denied access to that. So if you're not allowed to have access to what makes the most sense, you start to look for the other things that make sense. And there was a time in my life that Wicca made the most sense. It was the one that made the most sense. It was a nature-based religion, and I am a nature-based person. So, like, that makes sense to me. So I studied it. Anyone that knew I studied it knew that I wasn't a Christian, like in high school and stuff like that. Like, you're a witch. And I literally had a girl from high school see this meme, and she responded, but she didn't respond like on my comments like everybody else was. She responded into my messenger going, "Oh my God, this is still a thing? Like, I remember you threatening to curse somebody in high school." I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no." Dusty did never threaten to curse anybody in high school. That is for sure. I am a Pluto conjunct the ascendant person. My entire first 10 years of my life was Pluto in the first. Hell to the no. I do not wish ill on anybody because if you understand the true heaviness of what Pluto in the first can be like, you don't want that shit for anybody else because you didn't even want it for yourself. So I'm a firm believer, like, no, no, no. No, I didn't curse anybody. I don't deny what I studied. However, I always maintain, like, one, I've been called worse than a witch, and two, I'm far more complex than a witch. You can call me that. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to shame you for it. But at the same time, I'm far more than that. So it was super funny because we just had this whole conversation. I'm like, well, everything comes full circle. I'm still getting called a witch, but now I get paid for it. Couldn't help it. It made perfect sense to me. It's like, but I'm seeing these little synchronistic patterns. And the reason I'm bringing all that up is because when that occurred, that was this morning. So the moon is in Aries this morning. And it was right as the moon was starting to perfect its square to Pluto, and Pluto is my chart ruler. But we're also aiming towards a new moon in Gemini. And as a Scorpio rising, this is a new moon in my 8th house, which has to do with the occult. Still being called a witch. I don't care. 38 years old. I don't even give a shit. Whatever. You want to call me a witch? That's fine. I've been called worse. So I thought you guys would like that little thing this morning. I don't know what you guys have been going through. I've been seeing patterns with everybody. The little things are already starting to come around and manifest and turn into something, solidifying into things. I'm already starting to see like the first inklings of some of the conversations that need to be had around this new moon. And the synchronistic patterns are there. And I think a lot of people are picking up on it. It can't just be me. Like, I'm not that conceited. I don't have very good Leo placements. Let's be honest about that. So I'm going to get smacked. I know it. I'm so ornery today, guys. I'm feeling it. I apologize. But I'm looking at the pattern. I'm looking how everything is just kind of coming full circle. I'm seeing how everything is starting to like come around and come together. And we're getting really close to this new moon in Gemini. And I'm already starting to see the themes of this new moon, and we're still like 4 or 5 days away. It's Tuesday when I'm recording this. The new moon is going to be on Saturday. So yeah, we have days until this comes through, but I'm already starting to see the pattern, which is great. I love it. But I also understand that not everybody's going to understand what they're seeing or what they're feeling. Some people are starting to feel a little crazy. They're starting to feel themselves come out of a fog. They're starting to feel like the little, I'm going to still say fog, but the veil or like what, some kind of brick wall, like something that had been surrounding them and encompassing them is starting to like break through, break apart, fall apart, and break away. Barriers are breaking away. Neptune has this fog, veiled entrapment feeling to it. And many of us have been in a trap. We've been in a fog. We have felt like we are walking around with a shroud over our face and we can't see everything clearly. We can see some things. But if it gets super, super close, whenever you have, if you've ever had like something over your eyes before, if it gets so close, like, oh my God, I can't see it at all because it's not in the right scape for your vision. If it's too far away, you're just like, just squinting your eyes. Like, what? What am I looking at? What is that? I don't even know what did you just do? You're trying to figure something out. Many of us are coming out of a fog. We're starting to break through something. We're starting to turn something around. And that's not just because of one particular transit. That's because of a bunch of transits. And there's a bunch of things that are starting to turn around. If you listen to the weekly forecast, I said as we're getting into this week and going into next week, so the week before the new moon and the week following the new moon, we are transitioning in our energies, transitioning towards something, towards someone, towards a goal, towards our business, growing our business, taking something to the next level. We're starting to take the first steps towards going to school. We're starting to take the first steps towards, getting therapy or getting help, or we're starting to adjust. For lack of a better way to say it, adjust. Now, many of us have been in a fog for quite some time. And specifically, a lot of us fell into a fog in the last 2 weeks of June in 2022. Y'all know me. I like to go backwards to go forward. So we're going to go backwards. Now, I've meditated on the transit. You guys know that I do. I always say that. I've talked about the full moons that occurred, going through eclipse season in 2022, that April, May, June timeline. I've talked about those full moons before, but I'm going to reiterate it again. The Libra full moon, the Scorpio full moon eclipse, and the Sagittarius full moon, all three of them squared a planet. It was very odd. Now, the full moon in Scorpio was the most pronounced because it squared, trined, and sextiled a planet all at the same time. There's a huge activation there. The next activation that occurred, though, was the Sagittarius full moon, and it was the one where a lot of people had the fog start to set in. We had a clouding in our judgment. We had a weird vibe start to develop between you and another person. You were suddenly at work and like, okay, I felt great here yesterday, but now all of a sudden, every bit of this place feels like the most toxic thing ever. Like we started to fall into an area where whatever environment we were in, whatever connection we were in, whoever we were talking to, whatever we were studying, whatever we were working on, suddenly felt off, felt wrong, felt weird. The vibe wasn't there. And we had no clue as to why, unless you followed the astrology. The Sagittarius full moon that occurred on June 14th of 2022 was in a square, 90-degree angle, a square to Neptune. I am a Pisces moon, so I get to say this. Neptune is a dick. Neptune and Jupiter both have very similar qualities. Jupiter tends to be the more traditional form of spirituality and religion. He has to do with wealth and prosperity. He expands everything he touches. It's about hope. It's about our dreams. It's about where we're going in our life and where our path is, what our calling is. Jupiter associates a lot of things to that. So does Neptune, but Neptune is a twist. Jupiter has to work within the bounds of Saturn. It's an interior planet, Saturn, for years being believed to be the edge of our universe. However, then we discovered the outer planets. And Neptune's discovery, I love to tell people about this, Neptune's discovery was so unique compared to all the others. Uranus was discovered through a telescope. All the other planets were actually discovered by notating that this star was moving by the naked eye. And it was thousands of years of astrology was based off of only the planets we could see with our naked eye. When each of the outer planets were discovered, there was something going on within our society that corresponded with that. Neptune has a lot to do with medicine. I will say that. Medicine, working with herbs, working with material. But the thing is like some of the medicines that were coming around or was being prescribed or being misused and mishandled back in the 1800s were very much a Neptunian situation. We've all seen a picture of an old bottle where morphine or cocaine was just being prescribed by a doctor. That happened in the 1800s. That happened around the time that Neptune was being discovered. We had an inkling of something being that can be helpful if done in small doses, but nobody was doing doses. It's just like, yeah, take however much you need. Just wing it, whatever. You know your body, and we all do. I'm still very much that kind of person. Some of the medicines that whenever I grow and I like talk to clients about it, I'll say like, you're going to know your body. So I want you to like really like learn that part of yourself. And it's a good thing to learn. However, that's not how they were saying it back then. Now, there were the other things that were going on in the 1800s. There was definitely, changes revolving around our belief systems and different levels of structures and things along these lines. I'm going to admit all that. But what I would want to get to whenever it comes to Neptune was the discovery of Neptune. Based off of certain magnetic poles, and I am not a scientist, I'm closer to being a witch. We've already discovered this. We've discussed this part, okay? When it came to the magnetic pole of Uranus, scientists could tell that there was another planet on the other side, that there was something else disturbing magnetic forces and magnetic poles beyond Uranus. But they couldn't fucking find it. They couldn't find it. Looking and looking through the sky, looking, couldn't find it. I forget who discovered Neptune, so shame on me for not looking it up. I apologize. However, when Neptune was discovered, it was actually not discovered through the normal means of looking through the sky in the telescope. No, somebody actually had to sit down and mathematically indicate where magnetic disruptions were coming from. What was disrupting different magnetic patterns beyond the planet of Uranus. And it was not through the normal visual telescopic naked eye means that Neptune was discovered. No, it was through mathematics. Mathematically, they indicated what area of the sky a disruption was coming from, and that's how they were able to narrow down the location of Neptune. Neptune doesn't like to do anything the normal way. Oh, you want to go do a 9-to-5 job? That's not for me. Neptune is that floaty energy. It is a spiritual energy. I would honestly associate Neptune more to spirituality than I would Jupiter in a lot of ways because of how whimsical, unruly, I almost said unjustified. That could also kind of go into there too, but definitely unruly. How it was discovered really indicates a lot of the energies that go around it. It's never going to tell you directly, this is how I am. This is who I am. This is what I love. No. Neptune wants you to figure it out. Never going to tell you directly. Very indirect in its process. Very indirect in the transits that it affects. It likes to fog things. Neptune is a dick. Putting it in a more modern, layman's up-to-date term, and a lot of my people have heard me use this example before. I don't know if I've ever used this on the channel before, but I've used this example for a lot of people. It's summertime. We're going to have a pool party. It's going to be a midnight pool party. So margaritas and pool party. That's what that is. Everybody shows up, including Neptune. But does Neptune have his swim trunks? No. Neptune shows up in a full leather suit wearing sunglasses. This is a pool party at midnight. Glasses and leather don't mix. Not with a pool. Neptune offers you gum, baby. That ain't gum, that's LSD. He doesn't like to see the world through a clear lens. Therefore, he does things that will veil, shadow, shroud our judgment. Whenever you guys hear me talk about, like, sometimes with a Neptune transit, there will be substance involved. Substance can be something that alters the mind. That's why I say those things specifically. That's totally a Neptune thing. That's totally what Neptune likes to do. Whatever you want to do, however you want to self-medicate, whatever, we're good. Just do it. Yeah, this is Neptune. Not always fun. Now we're talking about a full moon last year that occurred squaring that Neptune. Full moons are usually completions or level up energy. That full moon squaring Neptune and making a trine / sextile, a sextile from the moon, trine from the sun to Saturn, said, we're seeing something through rose-colored glasses. And Saturn's over here in Saturn sign going, I don't have time for this. And for some people, whenever it came to romanticized energy, whenever it came to, certain connections that weren't fully solidified yet, that were still just kind of unclear, that were still just kind of like not easily understood, something in the weeks following, specifically 2 weeks, shed. Some people shed, dropping some weight, dropping a relationship. Oh, I lost 150 pounds this year. The dude's gone. Okay. Shed, shift, clouded. We suddenly saw something differently. And for some people, that was a good thing. They needed to see something differently. They needed to make a change, so that Neptune energy was necessary. But for others, it was just a clouding of the judgment. We didn't necessarily understand, so people reacted. That's not necessarily what should have occurred, but it did occur. In between that full moon, which again, that occurred on, I just said it, but June 14th, sorry. It's in front of me, it's on the screen. I'm going to show you the screen here in a minute. June 14th of 2022 and June 28th, literally 2 weeks later, because once we got to right around that new moon in Cancer, reactive energy, which was squaring Jupiter, the ruler of that Sagittarius full moon, we saw a transition over that 2 week period of a block and a barricade, and just suddenly having certain communication conversations that suddenly, like, everything turned, everything flipped, everything switched. You're talking to your business partner. Yeah, let's look at this land over here. Let's look at, like, developing over here. Let's look at, what we can do over here. And all of a sudden you're like, the other person who has been like your go-to, your partner in crime and everything. Nah, I don't think I want to. What? I don't think I want to. And there was no explanation. Instead, there became a fog and a cloud and something that shrouded the situation. Some of us were in a romantic partnership and we're, talking about where we're going to be in our relationship and how things are going to progress from here. And let's, start to intertwine our families and let's start to intertwine our lives. And all of a sudden the other person went, I don't think it's the right time for that. Saturn retrograde time. And a flip started. A flip in the situation, a flip in the way that we were seeing things. We turned and we adjusted. It was like, what do you mean? We've been having this conversation. What? we've been talking about this whole time, and now all of a sudden, now you have cold feet? We've had months of talking and getting to this point. This wasn't like a one and done, like an misunderstood thing. It was more along the lines of like, no, we've had little conversations all the way to this point, and now we're finally taking the steps, and now you have cold feet? I don't care if you have cold feet. Like, we could have, like, adjusted this earlier. Like, just talk to me. But instead, there was no talking. There was no conversation. You went to your job, everything seemed cool. Then one day later, all of a sudden, like, everybody's energy was off. Ugh, I don't like the way I feel right now. I don't like the way this feels at all. I don't like what's going on around here. I don't like the way people are behaving right now. What is this? Don't be surprised by that. But a lot of that had to do with Neptune's energy. Neptune installed a fog. It clouded our judgment. It clouded the way we were seeing things. Some people in the last year have now left that job. Some people have tried to ride out the job, and you're about to actually finally have a turnaround. Some people are about to have people from the past come back into the situation. Some people have had to dissolve their business partnerships, and now they're looking at starting a new one. And they understand that the new one is going to have a baby step situation. It is time to turn something around. You're going to hear me say that a couple of times, but I want to first show you some of the things in regards to that full moon, and then I'm going to bring it forward to the new moon, because Neptune and Saturn, Neptune, the planet that Sagittarius full moon squared, and Saturn, the trine sextile planet, both of them are at play again during the new moon in Gemini we're going to have later this week. That's why all this stuff is coming up, by the way. So, we're going to take a look at the screen. Again, I have this on June 14th, 2022. I have this at 6:59 a.m., so it's bright and early in the morning. Here was the moon at 23 degrees of Gemini. I'm sorry, here's the sun at 23 degrees of Gemini. Sun squaring, I can't talk. Squaring Neptune. I've called Neptune a dick too many times, and now it's just like, well, you like that mouth of yours, I'm gonna mess you up. I'm kidding. Okay, so here's the sun squaring Neptune. Here's the moon squaring Neptune. Was an exact square? No. Neither is this upcoming new moon, so I want to be clear about that, because some of the things that activated right here, one of the other reasons I'm saying, like, it took a few days to up to 2 weeks before we got the full, energy tied to that, was because, one, Neptune and the sun hadn't perfected their square yet. They actually didn't perfect it for like another 2 days. And even then, it's even lingered beyond that. And then we're going to do that same thing again with this new moon. So there's going to be a bit of a haziness that we're going to have to work through even with the new moon. So here's the sun trining Saturn. Here's the moon in a sextile to Saturn. Time has turned around. I don't have time for this. I can't commit to this. It's not the right time for this. I'm not prepared for this. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to approve this, because Saturn can be authorities and elders and things like that. Especially if you're having the job situation back then. Yeah. So Saturn, a freshly turned retrograde Saturn, because it was only like 10 days into the retrograde at this point. And then 2 weeks before Neptune turned retrograde, and Neptune turned retrograde right as we were getting into the new moon in Cancer. We're not really worried about that new moon in Cancer. I really just want people to see like how that planetary connection of Neptune and Saturn played in, because they play into this one too, and I can't ignore that pattern. So, bringing this back to more present day, let's fast forward this to this weekend by hour. We're going to bump this and get it to the exact point. Okay, so on the screen, I have this at June 17th, 2023, 11:01 p.m. Central Time. So this is happening real late in the evening. For me, it actually perfects closer to the 11:30 mark. Adjust for your time zone. For some people, this is going to be the 17th. A lot more people, it's going to be on the 18th. The new moon will be on the 18th. So Saturn turns retrograde literally right around noon. The new moon perfects within 12 hours of Saturn turning retrograde. So that means we're very much in the vibe of time to turn something around. The decision to change something, the decision to go back, the decision to deal with something from the past, the decision to turn something around. You're really going to hear me talk about this. Where is Saturn? In Jupiter's sign, in the deep oceanic emotional sign. Since Saturn has been in Pisces, so since March of this year, and you're going to hear me reference March for more than one reason, just to be clear, since March of this year, since Saturn went into Pisces, there has been a deep plunge for people to have a certain type of emotional understanding. We're either being much more clear about our emotional conversations, we're much more clear about certain emotional ties to our past. It is a lot easier to suddenly be able to mention certain things tied to trauma or tied to fear or tied to any type of deep seated emotions. Inner childhood trauma, long-term abuse, I hate saying that, but also love. I said emotion. It doesn't all have to be negative. Love, care, consideration. Pisces can be a very nurturing sign. It's a very healing sign. It has to do with the 12th house before we start the cycle all over again to the first. We reach a certain level of maturity with the 12th house. We ascend with Pisces energy. There is ascension. And none of us can deny the last few years, specifically since 2020, whenever we had Neptune squaring the nodes, and I know I really just went backwards then. The amount of spiritual awakenings that have occurred since 2020, not just having to do with COVID, but more going off of whenever Neptune was in a square with the nodes, and that went on for a good month or so. Like that lasted for a while. And I clearly remember that because my entire natal chart was activated for that. So there was a lot of people that they started to have spiritual awakenings during that time. Now, the awakenings, that inner part, the inner peace, the inner love, the deep-seated things that we're wanting to bring to the surface. More and more people want to bring things to the surface, whether it's the negative things that we want to heal or the positive things that we want to spread. There has been deep-seated emotions that are becoming more and more aware and more apparent. There are deep-seated beliefs that are becoming more and more aware and more apparent, the way that people are trying to share their beliefs. That can be both good and negative because, well, we've seen a lot of things lately. I watch the news too. Now, Saturn has been here since March, and Saturn has been doing things Saturn's way. And the longer Saturn has gone through this area, the more he's realizing, I'm shaking up so much stuff. I feel so much stuff being shaken up deep inside of me. I realize I have to turn something around. I have to commit to something. I have to commit to healing. I have to commit to a change. I have to commit to an adjustment. I have to make some level of a commitment. I have to turn something around. Saturn turning retrograde. Now let's go back to Mr. Neptune. Neptune is stationing, will turn retrograde in the coming weeks, but not during this new moon. So I'm not really worried about that. Neptune is in a square to this new moon. So before, where we had a full moon where it coincided with like a cutoff, a direct action. Jupiter at that time was in Aries, it was in Mars' sign. So cutoffs were real, needing to make a sharp, sometimes painful adjustment. Yeah, we're not in that area anymore. In fact, Jupiter's in Taurus, finally getting away from the North Node, but we're starting to feel certain amounts of faded energies that have been activated since Jupiter and the North Node's conjunction. The North Node got a taste of what Jupiter really wanted and what really needed. And he's like, oh, I can do that. I can do some of that. That's not a problem. We can figure it out. This is a new moon in Mercury's sign. And where's Mercury? Mercury is right here, also in Gemini, entering a sextile to Venus. The second sextile to Venus. The first one occurred back during that Mercury retrograde, and Saturn was involved then too. There was something all through March, all through April, and all through May that we felt like we were this close, so stinking close to finally connecting with, to finally conversating about, to finally communicating about, finally adjusting. We went somewhere and like, you know that nothing's going to happen right then, but you're just like, man, I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time. I feel like exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I know nothing's going to happen right now, but I know it's going to happen because of this. Like some of us deeply felt that we knew there was the first rumblings of where transitions would be in the months to come. Even if you didn't know that exact verbiage, it was there. There was someone we were so close to deciding about, so close to connecting with, so close to having a conversation with, that we finally are going to have conversations with following this new moon. And Mercury sextile to Venus is really emphasizing that. We need to start something new in a connection. That connection can be with a specific person. It can be with family. It can be with an idea. Sometimes it has to do with an idea. Some of us are going to be making the connection of how we can do certain levels of healing. We realize that if we do these levels of healing, that they're going to impact our future. And the thing is like some of the things that we're going to commit to, whether it's a person, an idea, a business, a trajectory, a healing, it's different for everybody. And we'll go over the ascendant and all that here in a little while. It's all in different areas in the chart. We know, even with that commitment, that there's still something that's not completely clear. We don't just hop onto a bandwagon going, yeah, healing. I mean, it would be nice. That would be a great way for things to go. But it's not necessarily how things go. But for a lot of people, there is a spiritual connection manifesting, and I am going to bring up that manifesting thing again. Neptune is at 27 degrees of Pisces. Y'all heard me say this before. This is the point in the sky where Venus and Jupiter had their conjunction during the first Taurus eclipse that occurred back in April of 2022. Neptune is unveiling and revealing energies and allowing for something from that timeline to manifest. And I've said this to you guys before. Now we're really going to start to see the transition of those timelines. So far, we've just been kind of collecting who, what, when, where, how, and why, and that weaving of the basket. Now we're really going to start to see how this basket is going to get used. Something unfolds with this new moon. Something unfolds and it takes a few days to really get our bearings about it, to really let reality set in. It's going to take a few days and it's going to feel like the days are going really slow because it's going to take a few days for reality to fully click in. There will be some parts of this weekend that are going to feel like it's a dream. I've been waiting to talk to you for so long. I've been waiting to reach out to you for so long. I've been waiting for this job for so long. I've been waiting. Oh my God. And now that we have it, it's kind of like, shit, now what? There's going to be a yay. Shit, now what? What do I do with it? How do I fix this? How do we continue from here? And I need everybody to understand baby steps. Baby steps. You're not going to do everything all at once. You're not going to hit the ground running. We're going to be foggy. If you try to hit the ground running, you might trip and fall on your face. I'm being real about that. You might actually trip and fall on your face. Are you going to do it during the new moon? Not necessarily. It might be a week or two afterwards, but it's going to take a few days to really get familiar again, to get connected again, to get settled again, to understand the turnaround, to understand the other person, to understand the situation, to understand things. All things, not just one thing, all the things. So, with that being said, The key areas of the charts that we're going to look at whenever I go over the ascendant information is going to be, what does Pisces rule in your chart and what does Gemini rule in your chart? And these will be the two areas that we really kind of go over whenever it comes to this new moon. As much as Neptune gets on my nerves with the indirect energy, because I don't like indirect. I look at indirect as kind of being like passive aggressive, and I'm not going to be passive aggressive. If you're getting on my nerves, I'm going to tell you to your face, you're getting on my goddamn nerves. I'm not going to leave it up to somebody to figure it out. You're going to know. However, Pluto conjunct the ascendant coming out real fast. You're going to know. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can be so direct. Not everybody is going to be able to just turn something around. In fact, some people are going to get news or communication that's going to keep them stuck in a fog for a few days. It's going to keep them stuck where they don't feel like they can progress. They don't know how to get the words to come out of their mouth. They don't necessarily know how to communicate everything that they're feeling and everything that they're thinking, everything that's going on. But we're in an energy right now that whatever's transitioning and trying to manifest and trying to come through and trying to develop and trying to become, it's meant to be for long-term energy. We are wrapping up the nodal cycle. We are now a month away from the nodes changing sign. We are wrapping up all of the energies tied to the prior eclipses and trying to solidify them. And this is one of the rare times I'm going to give Neptune a lot more credit and go, he is actually trying to help in solidifying things. But he's going to help in the way of saying baby steps. You're not going to rush in. We are not going to get everything in a day. We are not going to fix everything in a day. You're going to have to put in the work. Some of you, if you're reconnecting with an old relationship, get prepared whenever you get told, prove it. Prove that this is going to go differently. Prove that this connection can be better. Prove that you can have conversations with me where you actually talk to me about everything and not hold it all in, because we don't like that passive aggressive, guess what I'm thinking shit. I don't need to look at your ass to read your mind. Your mouth should work just fine. Some of us, that turnaround is going to be us realizing like we have been too hard or too harsh or too overbearing. And we're going to have a reality check that shows us that we need to take a step back. Playing devil's advocate in the fact that I have to bring up Neptune's energy, some of us are going to be starting something, making a decision, having a connection based off of a lie, based off of something not being true or truthful, based off of fraud. Now, that sounds crazy. Hear me out. When you have multiple people that are victims, I hate using that word, but in this case, I'm going to use that. Victims of the same situation, those people can come together. Now, that can be a couple different things. Some people, going off the idea that Neptune is a substance thing, can be making a choice to go to AA. That would be like, I'm going to start something with the idea that I want to leave my connection to this substance behind. AA, NA, things like that. Gambling addiction, anything that would have to do with vice. Some of us are going to be more along the lines of going, we were defrauded. Our money is gone. This company lied to us. It was a Ponzi scheme. It was something way bigger than we could have all anticipated. And we're starting anew, but we're starting anew with new people around us that have also just had to suffer, that have also been used or abused or neglected in some way. Excuse me. Some of us are going to have a turnaround based off of abuse or negligence or lies or malpractice or something along these lines. We're seeing a different community or connection or conversations that are starting to be built. And some of the relationships that you start can be very much long-term relationships, long-term friendships, long-term connections. In some ways, that can sound like a trauma bond. However, if we're going off of the idea of like gambling addiction or AA or something like that, then this can be something else completely. It could be like you're getting a lifelong friend that can always be a part of your support system. Is that still kind of a trauma bond thing? Yes, but it's not a negative way to look at a trauma bond. And I want to be super clear about that, because some people hear certain words and only indicate negative things to them, and that drives me insane. So there's that. Oh, 3 timelines before I get into the ascendant. And I'm just going to back this up by hour, and then I'll actually start going off this based off of everybody's rising sign. 3 timelines based off of this new moon and the point of the sky that it'll be perfecting in, that I want to be very clear we can reactivate energy from. 3 specific timelines is what came through in my meditation, and all of them have been within the last year. So again, I am not talking about things that are, 5, 10, or 15 years ago. I am talking about things that have truly been within the last year. So the first one was, of course, that June 2022 full moon in Sagittarius. We are going to be reactivating something from that timeline based off of the square to Neptune. But as before, where there was a cutoff, a shut off, or something like that, now we're going to create new stability. And that's all going to come down to your ascendant and whatever needs to be talked about in that regard. And I will go over the ascendant. For others, it can be reactivating shrouds, cloudiness, fogginess that was occurring between October and November of 2022 during those first 2 squares between Mars and Neptune. Why? Where did Mars turn retrograde again? 25 degrees. Where's this new moon going to be? 26 degrees, right after Mars left its shadow. But even at the 26-degree mark, Mars made a square to Neptune, made a square to the Sun, and made a square to Mercury. Y'all remember March, don't you? March is the other timeline. So there were whole timelines where certain things were occurring, certain things were either clouded or misunderstood, certain things that were starting to like boil up that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Especially if it had to do with like medical stuff and things in regards to health, that could have been a really big thing where we have just something that isn't easily understood that now starts to manifest and come forward. So again, timelines: June 2022, October to November of 2022, during the first 2 squares between Mars and Neptune, and then again March of 2022, because we had the final Mars-Neptune square, but we also had a square to the Sun and the square to Mercury, literally at the same point of the sky that is activated right now. So those 3 timelines can also start to come back now and get reactivated and start to progress in a new way. And that can be both positive and negative, depending on what your individual situations are. Yeah. Okay. I read everything based off of the ascendant or the rising sign. However, some people do not have your birth time and you only know your sun sign, which is fine. You can listen to your sun sign. I always actually suggest that you listen to both your sun sign and your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, feel free to go to the Spiritually Bougie Astrology page, and I will be happy to pull your chart and let you know what your big 3 are. You can always go to like the free resources on the web. Just literally Google, I think, is it dentist? I don't remember how to say that. There's other ways that you can pull your chart if you don't necessarily want to talk to me about it. But I do strongly suggest listening to this reading based off of your ascendant more so than your sun sign. But if you don't know your ascendant, then of course listen to your sun sign. So here we go. For Aries and Aries rising, this is a new moon in your 3rd house. Ideas, communication, branding, siblings, certain conversations, short distance travel, And this new moon is going to square Neptune in your 12th house. The unknown, the unseen endings. Things that can go on behind your back. Things that were not a part of the plan. Hollow ground, uncharted territory. Things from the past can very much be coming to the surface, and there can be a very strict thing in regards to an authority figure or in regards to an elder that is tied to this new moon, because Saturn is turning retrograde in your 12th house on the same day. It's not at the same time, they're 12 hours apart, but that is going to happen on the same day. So there can be the need, just in the most mundane way possible, to travel somewhere from the past unexpectedly in an unplanned way because of something in regards to an elder. You can be traveling somewhere because of kids. I'm going to add a layer to this. Mars, your chart ruler, is in the 5th house. Based off of something you didn't know was going on behind your back. That I've seen that before so many times. Like having one part of it and then the chart ruler's access like adds a whole extra layer. Like your chart ruler's in your 5th house of kids. Love, luck, romance, happiness, joy, children. You can be going somewhere with a romantic partner for the first time that you've never been before and not entirely sure how that weekend's going to go. Like, we're going to have our first getaway, our first romantic getaway as a couple. That sounds great, babe. The frick am I going to do with you for the entire weekend? No Wi-Fi. Like, I don't have a distraction. I don't have anyone else to go. Oh, I don't know. And there's a bit of a confusion. There's a bit of a fog. There's like an unsurety. But you also know that you've been in this connection for a long time. So it's kind of the time to start to do these things. It's time to let this grow. It's time to let some of this progress. Not all of you are in new relationships. Some of you are going to be starting to make certain decisions to go back to somewhere from the past. Going somewhere because of financial reasons, because of something going on, again, with an elder, with a parent, having some type of a legal matter come through because of what Saturn can represent. But there is an unexpected element to this weekend that's calling you somewhere, asking you to make a decision, asking you to change your mindset, asking you to have a bit of blind faith. We're still talking about 2 planets in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. Now, Neptune does very, very well there. She's all sorts of happy. I just assumed it was a female for some reason, but Neptune's all sorts of happy in Pisces, doing whatever Neptune wants to do. There's something that we're not fully clear about right now. If you are a little bit older and you are a little bit more mature, there can just be old wounds coming back to the forefront and like suddenly needing to talk about healing, talk about the past, talk about those old situations, finding a new bit of information tied to the past that changes the way that we saw an event, changes the way that we saw a situation, changes the way that we connected to that point. We need to shift something in our mindset. We need to have certain levels of communication. Some of us, you're having conversations with a sibling and something's being revealed to you from them. Something that you had no idea that was going on at that time. And it's not like the most fun conversation for some of you. Others, it can be very much just nostalgia. But others, they could be revealing something much, much heavier to you than you are anticipating. That again speaks to something that very much was tied to childhood. So don't be surprised if this does have to surround kids in some way. Don't be surprised if this is about a romantic partner. Don't be surprised if you get called to go back somewhere, short distance travel. You might actually just elect to go on a trip somewhere on your own, not necessarily with a romantic partner, but it might be going back to somewhere you've had before, you've been before. So short distance travel, communication, something from the past, or having something about an elder revealed that requires you to travel, to go take care of them, go take care of a family member, go take care of a situation. There will be some very unexpected elements to the days around the new moon for you. Okay. I'm going to fast forward this. We're going to go to Taurus and Taurus rising. This is a new moon in your second house of money, squaring Neptune in your 11th house of friends and network and colleagues and people that you like to associate with. Your clients can be a part of the 11th house. There can be a financial opportunity that completely changes the way that you make money. There can be an opportunity that comes through to, increase your money flow, increase some of your assets, that changes the game. And that opportunity comes because of a friend, comes because of somebody you already know, comes from a place that you weren't necessarily anticipating. But now that Jupiter's in your first, luck is on your side. Jupiter rules your 11th house of friends. So this is definitely something that can benefit you. But there has either just been an opportunity that is coming through that you're going to finally make the decision to accept, knowing that you're going into uncharted territories in some way, knowing that you're going to be doing some things for the first time that you've never done before. Anticipate that and expect some shifts here. Some of you might be, the most mundane thing would be like, I'm going to buy this thing from my friend and I have no idea how it works. My friend just bought me my first astrology chart reading. I have no idea what I'm getting into. Depending on who your reader is, man, it can get interesting. But we see the adjustment. We see a change coming through. There is an opportunity. Some of us might be going on a bit of a road trip or making plans for a road trip, and we're trying to figure out who's going and who's paying for what and what the shares are going to be and how much things are going to cost. That sounds like a long girls weekend. Like, okay, we're going to go to the lake and this is how much the Airbnb is. This is how much we're going to spend on food. This is what we're going to do. And we're trying to be like, if we have 10 people go, it's going to cost this much. If it's 8 people, it'll cost a little bit more. If it's 12, it's less. You see where I'm going with that. Some of you are actually trying to get something done on your home, in your home, with your family. Venus, your chart ruler, is in your 4th house of home life, and family. Some of you are trying to get something put together with family, get something handled in regards to family. Some of you might actually be going to like a kids party this weekend, and you're literally buying gifts for the child of another, like for your friend's kid, for your kids' friend. That can be another way that comes. There is something in regards to money, buying something, selling something, and you have no idea what they're going to use it for. Oh yeah, I've never even done anything with this, but you're welcome to have it. Great, I love it. But there's an exchange, a shift in regards to money or assets. It's going to go to either a friend that you do know that is going to take this item and completely reshape it and turn it around, like selling an old piece of furniture. It's like, yeah, it was my grandma's. I don't know what she ever did with it. And the next time you see it, it's going to be completely revamped and usable because that person's going to reshape it and turn it around. Some of you are trying to literally line out contractors. And you guys have heard me talk about the contractor thing before, but you have no idea which contractor you're going to choose. That contractor decision might take a few days because that Neptune element is just I got bid. I don't know, they can't do it for 2 months. This guy doesn't want to cover everything, doesn't want to do all the things that I want, so I have to get a whole extra contractor on top of him. This guy he costs more than everybody else, and I have no idea why. Ask questions, read reviews, things along these lines, but we'll be making a decision. For many of you, a financial decision, and there's going to be an area that you're not completely clear on, and it's going to take some days to get it figured out. Okay. Moving this along, a new moon in Gemini for Gemini risings, squaring Neptune in the 10th. We are making a change for ourselves, for a future that we have no idea what it looks like. But we know we are tired of being in a rut. We are tired of being in a situation. We are tired of feeling like we're getting blindsided and pelted by things over and over and over again. Some of us, some of you Gemini risings, some of y'all are going to have to make a change or a turnaround based off of some of the shit you did to yourself. That's not going to be an easy conversation for some of you. Some of y'all got caught cheating. Some of y'all got caught lying. Some of y'all got caught stealing during that Mars retrograde, during the Mars and Gemini timeline, not just the retrograde, the entire 8-month time span. Some of y'all had some things come to the surface, and now it is time for you to make it right and to make amends. And you have no idea how that's going to affect your relationship with them. You have no idea how it's going to affect you in the long haul. You have no idea what this is going to do to you and your public image. But you know you have to make corrective actions because you've been dealing with the energetic consequences of your actions since April, since that Mercury retrograde timeline. And even before then, all through Mars, so literally since August, I would argue actually since August of last year. Things that have been presented, decisions that have been made, decisions that have come full circle, and we're realizing they were not good decisions to make. There has been a shift and a turnaround, and now you guys are seeing exactly how much impact your connection had with another person. Now, some of you weren't malicious at all. Not every Gemini rising was out there lying to people. Let's be clear. Were there a bunch of you? Yeah. And I have the news stories to prove it. I don't just have the charts individually, but I have the actual news stories that we can go on YouTube and look at. And a lot of those people were Gemini risings. So there have been timelines. There have been situations that have occurred, and now you must make corrective action. And you still don't even know if people are going to listen to you and if they're going to believe you. Some of you might not learn a lesson at all, and you might just start a whole new thing, telling all new lies. And please don't do that. Please don't be that person. Now, that's me playing devil's advocate. I actually feel like some of you are starting to see the writing on the wall, and we're wanting to make a change in career. Saturn in the 10th is definitely going to want you to strengthen the resolve of your career, your public image, your hopes and dreams for the future, your goals for the future, how you are shining in this world, where you are getting the most acknowledgement. And some of you are going to have to start to turn things around because you realize the way you've been doing things no longer serves you. Why do I say that? Because Jupiter, the ruler of your 10th, is in your 12th house of the unknown, unseen, endings, uncharted territory, shit going on behind your back, shit that you don't know about. There are things from the past that are going to start to bite you, going to start to come full circle, whether it's good karma or bad karma. Full circle would be good karma. Bite you in the ass, bad karma. And if it's bad karma, this is your 12th house, babes. That means you did it to yourself in some way, shape, or form. Jupiter actually does really, really well in the 12th. So this entire next year of Jupiter going through your 12th is meant to be something that actually strengthens your spiritual resolve and helps you grow spiritually. But that's also doing that with the assistance of Saturn in your 10th. That means you have to strengthen your personal resolve and your professional resolve. Some of you are going to be looking at the idea of going back to school. Some of you are looking at the idea of changing your career and changing the way that you make money. Some of you are going to have some of the things that have occurred over the last year, again, coming back to the surface. Some of you are going to try to have conversations with people that go back from the back all the way through timeline from August of last year. Actually, no, go back all the way to June of last year. I should have said that from the beginning, because that full moon in Sagittarius squaring Neptune back then, you had a hand in that. Some of you started legal matters back then that are going to start to come full circle. Some of you are just resolving a legal matter, and now you're trying to start a new chapter. Some of you have just dissolved a relationship or a marriage or a business partnership, and you are trying to start a new chapter, and there's a fogginess to the new chapter. There's a fogginess because this new moon is squaring Neptune. We know we have to turn something around. We know it's time to change. We know it's time to step up. We know it's time to do better. Saturn is enforcing that full circle, full on, like Saturn in your 10th is like, I will put all the pressure in the world right here to level you up as a person. Saturn does really well in the 10th. But that doesn't mean it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. We're still talking about Daddy Saturn. Daddy Saturn doesn't give a shit about how you feel. He really doesn't. He will apply pressure however he sees necessary. And for a lot of Gemini risings, the pressure that you are feeling from Saturn in your 10th is making you level up as a person, or it is making your past decisions, past indiscretions, your past situation become a lot more publicly known. And again, this is the consequences of actions. That can be both good and bad. If you have been doing wonderful things, Mother Teresa level, like energy of like helping and healing people and trying to get people to correct their lives and correct their action, then Saturn in the 10th is really going to strengthen your career and really make that shine through. However, in the last year, if you have been in that deviant, lie, manipulative energy, and you have had a string of events of all of that energy over and over and over again, then Saturn in the 10th is going to start to really turn around everything in regards to the emotional experiences that have occurred since March, since Saturn has went into this sign. There's the turnaround. The turnaround will start now. It will continue all the way until November. That's when Saturn will turn direct. And then he's going to go back right over the same areas of the sky, forcing you to correct some actions then. Now is the turnaround. The retrograde is the lessons. Whether the lessons are good or bad for you is completely your own karma. It's your own chart and it's your own doing. Not everybody's going to like me saying that, but it's true. Okay. For Cancers and Cancer risings, this is a new moon in your 12th house of the unknown, unseen, endings, old experiences, people from the past, situations from the past, unfinished business, karma. This new moon is squaring Neptune in the 9th. Some of you might have a past person contact you from a long distance. That's a very mundane way to look at this, because they want to turn around a situation with you, because they want to fix something with you. Some of you are going to get a call that you need to travel a long distance. Now, 9th house is always long distance travel. My problem with long distance travel is the fact that back in the day, and I'm talking about 3,000 years ago, long distance travel could literally be anything that is longer than a day's travel. The thing is, if you are traveling by horse, by cart, or by foot, a day's travel is not that long. It's really not. A day's travel in a car can take you across 3 states, 3 to 5, depending on where we're at. A day's travel in a horse and buggy, you're going to go across a couple of counties. We're not in the same ball field. So some of you might be getting the call just to travel somewhere that's a few hours away. Some of you might be hopping on a plane. Some of you might feel the sudden urge to get away from everybody. And I'm not telling anybody where I'm going. I am hopping on a plane. Tickets are booked and I am just gone. I will see you in a week. I'm going to be on the beach. Take me with you. I will be a quiet guest. I don't need much. Not really, I couldn't go. But anyways, I'm just being ornery. But we feel something coming through unexpectedly. There will also be the chance of certain things dissolving. A situation that has been going on for quite some time that finally needs to come to a close because we're about to have huge adjustments in our career. We know these adjustments are already coming because we just had Jupiter in the 10th for an entire year. And right now, what is Jupiter in the North Node doing? They're swapping keys. Here's the bike. Here's the Jeep. You go this way. I'm going this way. Swapping keys. And the North Node is about to go into your 10th house of career and do an 18-month motorcycle ride at full blast. He is not going to go slow about nothing. So some of you are seeing something in your career, something in the way that you reach out to clients and the way that you talk to friends, the way that you associate things. We're seeing something that's going to impact your finances because this upcoming Venus retrograde will be in your second house of money. That a decision needs to be made, dissolving certain connections, dissolving certain partnerships, dissolving certain relationships, so you can take on a new experience, take on new education, take on new training, take on new knowledge, change the game in how you connect with your clients, how you are connecting with your friends, who are your circles of friends. Some of you will be making the decision that you're not going to work in the normal, fast food, convenience store job anymore, that we are going to go back to school. Do you know what you're going to study? Nope. I just know I want to go back to school. I am done with this way of doing things. Why did I just hear the culinary word? I don't know. Some of y'all about to go study to be chefs. One of you is going to go be a chef. I literally just heard that in my head. That's crazy. Had to say that out loud. And we just feel like it's time to turn something around. It is time to go that distance, either in regards to education. It is time to go do that medical check. Some of you are having something completely misunderstood in your body that you can't necessarily explain, and you've been trying to get something understood, and you realize it is time to go to the doctor. And it is time to figure out whatever it is going on in your body that you don't understand, that you just don't know. But you've been talking to enough people that you realize that what you're feeling, wherever you're feeling it, it's not right. Some of you are going to see and experience the turnaround in an elder, in an authority figure, in management, in a governing body, in grandparents, elders. We're going to start to see the turnaround and, regretfully, the decline. Some people might have a passing this weekend. I got to be clear about that. And it won't be necessarily like a clear indicator as to why that passing occurred, but it's time for it because Saturn turned retrograde. At this point on the screen, it's not retrograde yet, but it will be by 12:30. I think it was 12:30. But we see that need to turn something around. We need to shift the management. We need to shift the partnership. We need to see that shift in that other person. Some of us, we need to feel the shift in ourselves, and the only thing that is going to make that better is to get away. Some of you might feel a mix of all of those things over the next few weeks. But there's definitely something unanticipated, unexpected, and I really emphasize with Cancer risings what did occur during that Mars retrograde. Where was your attention? What grabbed your attention? Who were you needing to deal with? What was going on? Where was that energy? Because that is going to be part of the energy that starts to turn around, that starts to pick back up and move forward. And I say move forward with hesitancy. I do say that with a lot of hesitancy because Saturn's not progressing. Saturn is turning around. So we're going to be moving forward with new details, new symptoms, new issues, but it's not new because it's the same old game. It's the same old habits. It's the same old story. It's the same old something, but with a new layer that we have to understand, a new layer to work through, a new discovery, a new symptom, a new issue. We're about to pick back up, and I really feel with Cancer risings, we will be picking back up on something that was occurring all of the last part of 2022. So August all the way to March, and that's when Mars finally left Gemini. So the whole last part of 2022 and the first part of this year. Where was our attention at when Mars was in Gemini? Because I feel like we're picking back up on that and taking it further. It's going to start to progress for some of you. Okay. Moving this along for Leos and Leo risings. This is a new moon in your 11th house of friends, network, colleagues, the people that you do business with. Your clients can be a part of this, the people that you choose to network with, where you donate your time. If you are, see, I always reference like my Jeep Club a lot of the times. My Jeep Club is very much an 11th house thing because I have my friends that sometimes I only ever deal with whenever it's the Jeepers, but then we all get together and do things for the community. Like we have what's it called? It's not DHS, but it's a nonprofit that helps with like people that need to, with children that need to get into foster connections. We do a lot of donations with and work with foster connections. We do a lot with the veterans. We take the veterans through the Veterans Day parade, and that's all 11th house kind of things. So there's something that is starting with either humanitarianism, with a new friendship, with a new opportunity, potentially with a new business partner, because this is a new moon in the 11th house, squaring Neptune in your 8th house of money. Other people's money, shared assets, inheritance, taxes, shared debts, credit card debts, cryptocurrency. One of your friends could try to get you into crypto. Don't do that. Crypto's going through hell right now, and it will be for the next 2 years. No more hopping into crypto. That bandwagon was done. It was done last year, but it's really done now. The decline happened all during the Mars-Neptune squares. That's not even a joke. So there's going to be something that we start, a new partnership, a new friendship. This can have to do with work, but we're trying to turn something around in regards to the finances because Saturn is turning retrograde in this 8th house of money. Some of you are going to be paying off a client, paying off a situation, paying off a debt, selling a car, selling an asset, selling something to a friend that allows for the debt to get paid off. That's why I said it just that way. Where is the sun? It's also in the 11th house. So your focus has been your clients. It's been on a friend. It's been in this area anyways. And Venus and Mars have been in your first. So they've really picked up your energy. They've really made you more ambitious, and they're really starting to turn things around. And now that you have both, you're getting a lot of attention in both good and bad ways. We're settling something, we're settling something to start something new. And the new thing that we're starting, the new connection that we're starting, one, it's going to be shaky for the first few weeks because right after this new moon, the sun's going to go into your 12th. So there's going to be like uncharted territories. There's going to be a little bit more resolution that's necessary from the previous thing. But it's going to allow for new things to really start to take shape because that Venus retrograde is going to be in your first. And a lot of these things are leading into where we're going to be in that Venus retrograde. This is why I'm saying it this way. A new moon in the 11th house, squaring Neptune in the 8th. A new connection, a new partnership, a new shift in your career. Your 8th house is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter's in your 10th house of career. A new benefit, a new thing coming through, a new financial situation coming through, a new adjustment coming through. And it is very much about your career. It is very much about your friends, your clients, the people that you network with. And it's going to very much be about money. Not so much romantic relationship type energy, but more along the lines of like strategic relationships. Long-term, long planning relationships. We're transitioning into new long-term connections and new long-term partnerships. Leo risings are. Okay, moving this forward, we have the ascendant now in Virgo. For Virgos, we are talking about a new moon in your 10th house of career, your public image, relationships in a very specific way because it's squaring Neptune in the 7th. Saturn is turning retrograde in the 7th. Some of you are starting to really romanticize the idea of the future with a specific partner. Some of you are starting to see something really start to come around, and we're kind of confused like, Where do I go? Who do I want to connect with? How is this going to continue? How is this going to work? And we're starting to see something come about for the future, for our career, within our public image, and how we are shining and how we are known in this world. Remember, Virgo risings, Mercury rules both your first and your 10th. So for Virgo risings, like, you guys are in control of your destiny. And a lot of people don't necessarily get to say that, but you do. Your chart ruler is also in your 10th. So you're thinking about the future, but not only are you thinking about the future, but you've had all of the triggers from the past coming through. All of the triggers from the past. Old people coming back through. We have some unfinished business to deal with. Some of that unfinished business can be all the way from 8 years ago all the way to 20 years ago. Like, I've seen it all the way through, but there's unfinished business that's now coming through. There are long-term relationship people that are starting to come back around. There's so much energy that is shifting. And the thing is shifts don't bother Virgo risings. That's the mutable thing. The whole purpose of mutable energy and mutable signs is to bridge one season to another. It's to bridge things. So transitioning and new, that doesn't scare you at all. However, for you to fully encompass and understand the new that is coming through, many of you are starting to have old things come back around. Some of it is old relationships that you have some kind of unfinished business or unfinished karma with. And that's because you both have Mars and Venus in your 12th right now. Some of you are having a lot of old wounds and old emotions that are being brought to the surface. And those that are having those come to the surface, they're probably having them come to the surface because you've had somebody, either a friend or a romantic partner or a mix of the two, you've had somebody or something that has coming through and it's triggering you. It's triggering those wounds. It's triggering that reaction. It's triggering those situations. And some of this energy is meant to show you how to overcome the triggers. Some of this energy is meant to show you how to let go of the past, how to see those old habits, how to see those old situations, how to see that old way of doing things and unlearning them. And the unlearning process kind of activates in this new moon. You've already been dealing with some of the triggers, but you don't know why. I'm telling you why. Because these are wounds that need to be healed. This is an area of your life that you need to overcome. And it's going to be over these next 4 months that you truly overcome them. Like, this is not going to happen in a day. But something new is coming through. It's kind of mysterious. It's kind of crazy. For some of you, it feels like a divine spiritual level connection because Neptune is in the 7th. And the thing is Neptune has been in the 7th for you guys for a long time. And for Virgo risings, y'all have already had like all of the negative energies of Neptune in the 7th coming through. Having the final few years of Neptune going through your 7th now includes Saturn. Saturn is offering a level of solid energy in this area that previously may have been highly romanticized or was previously very, very questionable. We didn't necessarily trust everyone and everything, but whoever has come through for you in the last few months, whether this is on a spiritual level, whether this has been on an emotional level, whether this has been on a friendship level, whether this has been on a romantic level, but you guys have specifically had somebody come through for you. And as soon as I say that, you're going to know who I'm talking about. Because all of us, since March, by the way, I'm talking about since March, all of us have had somebody come through since March, somebody new, somebody old, you know. We're not talking about a wedding gown, but what I'm saying, like, you've had a specific person come through, a specific event occur, specific situations occur that is starting to streamline and solidify and show you just what you need, just what you want, just what is required for a true partnership to occur. Saturn is offering a validity to relationships that y'all ain't had in a while. Now, some of you are not getting new relationships. You've been in a relationship for a long time. And Saturn now in the 7th is putting weight here. And it is making you question a partnership, making you question a relationship, making you question a legal matter, making you question certain aspects, because something needs to dissolve. Something needs to be dissolved, resolved, let go of, washed away. Get it off your karma, get it off your plate. Time served. And you're going to see that wash away of time served energy really flow through over these next few months, but you forget the first inkling of how that starts right here. Some of you are also dealing with a legal matter, legal things, or an issue that showed up last year that now we're starting to see that legal matter finally come into a bigger area, finally come to a new agreement, finally come to a new part of the sky for you. And we don't fully know how it's going to go because this new moon is in a square to Neptune, but we're hopeful. We feel good about it. And Saturn again is offering a validity to that legal matter. He's offering a validity to your partnership, whether it should continue and grow, or whether it is time served and it is time to let it go. And if you are in the let go stage, I want to be clear. I feel like for a lot of people, if you've been in the let go stage, you've been starting to feel the inklings of that, then your relationship was probably something that started back between like 2008 to 2010. Just to be clear. Those are the ones I feel like certain decisions are starting to come back full circle, and Saturn is putting some judgment into the mix. Okay, so for Libras and Libra risings, y'all ain't gonna like me. I'm gonna be real clear about something. There has been an opportunity that has come through, and for a lot of you, it's going to be really, really good. But some of you, the opportunity that's come through feels sort of romantic. And I want to start with this one because there's some seeds that have been planted. There's some additional flirting that has been done. And I am talking about a Libra rising. Honey, y'all are Venus ruled. Flirting is your nature. It is. It's just your nature. It's kind of the way you make everybody feel more comfortable. It's one of the things that attracts people to you. And there's already been some flirtations that have come through. And I want to be super, super clear. If you are in the flirtation mode, this flirtation mode can very quickly turn into temptation. And I want to be super clear. If you are not in a healthy area for temptation, if you are supposed to be in a committed relationship, you might be feeling like a foggy energy, like something at work where you feel like something's coming about, you feel like something's going, but you also see the opportunity for like getting to know somebody a little bit better. But part of that energy is like, you kind of get aroused, you're kind of turned on, you're kind of this. Y'all gonna hear me fair warn you guys for a while, Libra risings. I need you to know Venus in the 11th making hard squares to things in your 8th. This can be a fair energy, and I don't like that. Especially if you don't know what's coming, you can be grabbed by the energy. And some of those things can come through in the weeks following this new moon, and that's why I'm bringing it up now. You're going to hear me say this to you guys for a while. Don't fall into traps, because traps are real. And the karmic consequences of those traps will also be very real this year. So heed my advice. Don't fall into the temptation thing. Don't fall into the temptation thing and start doing something you shouldn't be doing. So we're going to start with that one. That's the part you're not going to like. Everything else will be completely normal. So we're talking about a new moon in your 9th house. Some of you want to travel. You have a desire to travel. Some of you are wanting to start a new career. And the career thing's been under the belt for a little bit, but you're really just starting to feel called either towards a certain direction or towards a certain area of life. For a lot of Libra risings, if the career thing is coming through, then it's like we're wanting to change not just one aspect of our career, but like it's an entirely different field that's either going to require education or require certain amounts of knowledge, certain amounts of training, certain amounts of research. But it again will impact how you care for yourself, how you care for other people, how you care for, I keep hearing students, so hear me out on that. But some of you are also looking at, you've traveled, either you just recently went somewhere on a trip or you're just now going on a trip somewhere. And once you're there and you're in that environment, it's like, I think I could live here. I could totally live in the woods. Humor me. I could totally live at the beach. I could do this. We could move here. We could live here. What do you think? Now, considering Pluto just went into your fourth house of home, life, and family, just returned, some of you are rethinking the home life situation. Some of you are getting triggered to rethink about your family and the dynamic there and how your roots are set up and whether your roots are rooted in the right area. Have you established a home and a home life in the right area? And there's still a final inkling for some Libra risings that Pluto is going to want to transform this area. Now, some of you are also going to be starting to, feel the need to revisit the idea of motherhood and becoming a mother or having another child or something along these lines. Like we might be revisiting that. Some of you might actually be revisiting the idea based off of somebody that just came through and had traveled a long distance that you need to fix something. It's time to fix something. It's time to learn about the health situation tied to an elder. I know that's a super weird way to go about it, but it's true. Pluto is in a sextile to Neptune. Pluto's now retrograde. And this year, that sextile is going to be super tight. For a while, the sextile between Pluto and Neptune was kind of like, it was getting some space between the two of them. But this time around, it's going to be pretty exact in these next few months. We haven't had a real exact sextile between these two in a while. So I have to bring this part up. And for Libra risings, I did hear the motherhood thing just now. So bear with me on that. Neptune is in your sixth house of health, how you care for yourself, how you care for other people, what you do for work, what you do in your routine, where you are of service to others, how you do things to care on all levels. What are you doing in your work routine? What is a part of your daily routine? We're needing to orchestrate, turn something around, fix something in regards to health. So this is why I picked up the health thing. Saturn is in the sixth house of health. We're looking at something that needs to change, something that needs to turn around, either within our own health and within our own routine. And this is going to require, with the new moon in the ninth, either getting new education on something in regards to health, starting to go to the doctor, because the ninth house can be very much an institution thing. Going to the doctor because of something wrong in your health. If it's not necessarily your health, it can be the health of a family member because Pluto's in the fourth. But we also have Venus, your chart ruler, in the 11th. You might be seeing something going on with your friends. You might be seeing something going on in regards to your work and in regards to your career that's impacting your way of dealing with people and how you interact with clients and how you interact with your coworkers. And you're starting to feel more and more that you need to make changes. Don't be surprised by that, because when the nodes change signs in July and the south node is going to go through your first house, you're going to have a year and a half of just not giving a shit about things. And it's not going to happen all at once, but certain things that have been like strenuous and matter to you very, very deeply, they're not going to matter the same way. You will literally have certain things in certain bad habits fall away. Certain resolves that you have in yourself fall away. But some of those resolves are not going to fully start to fall away until certain things are revealed to you. Some of those have to do with travel, going somewhere and seeing that we need to change something in our roots. This change in our roots, changing in our home. If we move from, I'm in Oklahoma, y'all know that. So I'm going to move from Oklahoma to California. That obviously I'm not going to go hashtag Tulsa girl anymore. I haven't done that in a long time, but still. Like, I'm not going to necessarily, I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb in California wearing my Okie hat. Like, seriously, that type of situation. I'm not a Libra rising. It's just where I'm going with this. There is adjustments in the way that you see yourself in the world and the way that the world sees you. There is adjustments in your health and the health of another, in your routine. And some of you, this is going to either require going back to school, going to church. I haven't really had a reason to bring up church. I haven't really felt the church thing too strongly for Libra risings. Or taking grandma to the doctor. Like, for some of you Libra risings, it's going to be as easy as like, you agree to just take grandma to the doctor, and all of a sudden a whole set of issues regarding grandma's health is going to get revealed. Saturn turning retrograde, Saturn representing elders, Neptune squaring that new moon. That is a super mundane way for that to come through. Some of you are having to fix so many things that the idea of traveling is going to fall away, and that's you having to come to terms to that. But there is a new experience coming through, new experiences that are going to really start to shift parts of your identity over the coming months. And parts of that experience comes through in the days following this new moon. I think for a lot of Libra risings, this new moon is going to be the most mundane thing. It's like traveling or going somewhere or experiencing something new, something that can impact health, or routine. Taking grandma to the doctor, like I said, and learning something about her health and routine in the days following. It can be in the days prior too, like around the new moon. You're not going necessarily to the doctor at midnight on a Saturday. You could be. I've had enough midnight emergency room visits to admit that it could be. There could be something that develops in somebody's health that requires that. However, it's not going to be that drastic for everybody. It's more along the lines of like, you get that call from grandma, can you take me to the doctor? I sure can. It's summer break. Not a problem. Grandma will take you. And then when you go to the doctor, you're like, what? You have cancer? You're sick? Nobody told me. And I hate whenever families do that, but it is true. They do that. So we learn something in the days around the new moon that changes the routine, that shifts it, that adds another element, that adds another restriction, that adds another responsibility. It impacts your relationships with some of your friends. It's going to impact some of the way that you see certain elements in the world. You are going to have a shift this next year, but the first little inklings are coming through in the days right before and right after this new moon. Okay. Oh, for Scorpios and Scorpio risings, this is a new moon in the 8th house of other people's money. Shared assets, shared debts. There's a sexual element to the 8th house. What is this new moon squaring? The 5th house of love and romance and joy and happiness and children. Some of you can also start to see transformations with a new moon in the 8th house. The transformation of a love connection, the transformation of a child. If your children are growing up, you might start to see more and more like the little grown-up energy coming through. Like, no, Mom, I don't want you to put my shirt on. I'm going to put my own shirt on. And it might be inside out with a tag right here underneath his chin, but he did it. He's trying to take on more responsibility. He's not wanting you to do things for him anymore. Saturn in the 5th turning retrograde. There's a turnaround. And we start to see like that growth and that change, and it's a baby step energy. But we'll see those changes and revolving around children around this time. And considering that Venus retrograde is going to be in the 10th house of the career and future, just plans for the future. Obviously, if your child is taking on more responsibility and growing, that's obviously going to impact the future because you're going to have more free time. Not in the long run, not in the short term. I mean, if you have a very young child, it's going to be over the long term, but you start to see it. It's the little inkling. Some of you, this is about a romantic connection. Neptune In the 5th, we have had a romantic relationship, a love relationship. We've had something in regards to our luck that has just felt like it is not on our side. And we had a shift that occurred last year during that Sagittarius full moon. And some of us, it was a financial shift. Like that was the shift in our luck. Like all of a sudden, like everything that you made, twice as much went out the door. For whatever reason, we had to do additional work while Jupiter was going through our 6th house, but we've done the work. We've done more in our routine. We've built something up. We've taken on more independence. We've adjusted things at work. We've adjusted so much, and the South Node in our 1st has definitely made us do some personal resolve level adjustments. The things that matter to you 2 years ago, they don't matter the same anymore. It's not even the same ball game. The relationships and the people that mattered to you 2 years ago, not even the same ball game. It's different. You're different. Things are different. And many Scorpio risings are going to have to help other people learn to communicate the transformation, learn to communicate the past trauma and the past experiences and how that needs to progress and how we can change some things. Pluto, our chart ruler, has just went back into our 3rd house of communication. That's why I'm bringing that up. And as you start to see those routines, and as you start to see the first inklings of transformation, new moon in the 8th, we see how that's going to feed into the long haul. Do you see everything all at once? No. The new moon is in a square to Neptune. There is an area that is still unsure. It takes time to trust. It takes time to learn. It takes time to push through the fear and the fog and the confusion and the fuzziness. It takes time for them to prove a change is here. Not everybody's in a fog. Some of you, it might just be confusion in one moment. Some of you might be dealing all of this on finances. Now that we're going to have a Venus retrograde in the 10th house of career, Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces, the traditional ruler, is in the 7th. And some of the people that we're connecting with, some of the people that are coming back through, some of the people that are starting to see just how much you have grown and changed and how many things just don't bother you anymore. That's going to start to impact your career. And it's going to start to impact your future. It's going to start to impact everything. Finances, debts, taxes, career, all of it. That starts to all shift. If you had a negative luck shift that occurred last year, then this is a positive luck shift. If you had a relationship fall away from you, suddenly like there was independence that was necessary. I didn't really go over this whenever I did the first part of that reading, but right before that Sagittarius full moon, we had the Venus-Uranus conjunction that had occurred right then. That happened right around June 11th, I think it was. Some of us, we professed our love to a partner and like they ran Uranus energy. Now we're starting to see some of that come back full circle too. And where we just had a change in our values and we had a change in a fog develop around a romantic connection, now we're starting to see that person come back around. If it's not the old person coming back around, then we're starting to see this new person change in front of us. Good, bad, or ugly, they can start to change. Either they're leveling up, you're leveling up, they're ready to take more commitments forward, you're requesting for them to step up. But there is definitely an adjustment in regards to shared money, in regards to your plans for the future, and in regards to luck, love, joy, happiness, and children. Saturn is turning something around. Something has gone as far as it's going to go in this current energy, and now it's trying to turn something around and start to go back. Now, I also want to bring up the fact that the 8th house can have to do with death. Death. We can have a loss. Is it going to happen during the new moon? Not necessarily. Can we start to see the first inklings of something towards somebody else's loss start to come through? Maybe something wrong in the body, something that's not easily understood. The thing about Neptune, and whenever it comes to the things it affects on the body, you know you have a lymphatic system, but can you tell me everything about your lymphatic system? Most people can't. You know what Neptune has tied to? The lymphatic system. Things in your lymph nodes can suddenly flare, or in somebody else's. Mysterious things can start to flow through the body. I got to be honest. My mom is a Capricorn rising, so I'm just being real honest about this. And all of last year, we were dealing with liver stuff. But every time I turned around, like if we had a medication change, I would notice it through her kidneys. I would notice it in another way. And I would always bring it up to the doctors. And I would have to like force them, using the astrology, by the way, but force them in a weird way to look at these other areas. But the way that I guided them was through the astrology. That's not even a joke. But I could always get it narrowed down based off the planet, what that planet ruled, until it came to the Neptune stuff. And then it was just like, oh my God, throw a dart at the wall. It could be your feet. It can be it could be your lymphatic system. It could be anything that just mysteriously happens. And one of the new ones that I have learned is that when kidneys start to fail, like the fluids and stuff that fill your body, that is very much a Neptunian. Oh yeah, you just now suddenly have a toxin just randomly filling in your body in different areas. That's crazy to me. That's some Neptune shit. If you have somebody in your circle, in your family, in your life, that we've had an issue in regards to their health, a mysterious issue in regards to their health that doesn't make any sense, that can be the Neptune part. And you can start to see some parts of their health shift and change around this new moon. And it's likely you've already been seeing it. It's just now I'm putting that part in perspective for you. Everybody's at different parts of their life. Everybody's in different parts of the journey. Some of you might be a mix of all of those things, just to be clear. Okay, for Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings, this is a new moon in your 7th house. Relationships, partnerships, legal matters, obligations to other people. Where is your chart ruler? Now in your 6th. It's in your 6th house. I bring that up because your chart ruler, Jupiter, also rules your 4th house of home, home life, and family. For many Sagittarius risings, there is a new partnership, a new contract, a new commitment, a new obligation, a new thing taking shape that we don't fully know how it's going to impact the family. We don't fully know what's going to happen next at home. If this is as mundane as, like working on the house, if this has to do like contractor stuff, like great, we've got it, we got the money, we got the material, we got the, contractor under contract. When does he start? I have no idea. Neptune. I got the material. I'm going to DIY it. I've watched all these YouTube videos. Great. When are you going to do this? I don't know. I'm working on it. There is an adjustment in your obligations to other people. There are new things coming through in your work and in your routine. And the thing is like Jupiter in the 6th house, this is meant to expand your connections in regards to your work, in regards to your routine, expand your connections and how you care for yourself, expand the care of yourself, expand how you care for other people. Jupiter is going to expand this area, but it's also going to bring a lot of things to the surface. How it brings things to the surface for you, most likely right now, it is through another person. It can be through a family member, but it can be through another person. It can be through a legal matter. It can be through getting, served documentation that completely shows you that this relationship is over. I know I said new moon, but we had a full moon in your first house first. So some of you are literally looking at the idea of dating somebody new, dating somebody for the first time. Somebody you potentially either met at church or met at work, you met through a friend, and you don't quite know how your family's going to take it because it's like the first time you've dated in forever. And you're like, this is so much fun. I'm so excited. Shit, I don't know what the kids are going to say. I don't know what mom's going to say. I don't know what my nosy neighbor is going to do whenever there's an extra car in my driveway, because we all have a nosy neighbor. If you don't have one now, you've had one in your life. And if you haven't had one, then you live in the country and you will always live in the country. But even then, you can show up with a nosy neighbor. It's just they're coming over an acre to get there. But there's something very much adjusting in your routine, expanding in how you care for yourself, expanding in how you care for other people. And you're going to really feel a shift over this next year in friends and clients, but also in your love life, in your focus around your children. And the first little inkling of something that needs to take shape, that we take some time figuring it out. It's kind of like the little nervousness, the little butterflies in your stomach. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what's quite going on, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of crazy. I don't necessarily know that I want my family to know quite yet, but I like it. I like this connection. I like this partnership. I like this person. I like having this friend, because it can be a friend. I like doing this thing with the church now. I like doing this thing with Sagittarius risings, like Venus and Mars are in your ninth. You are more likely to be doing the church stuff than going to a spiritual retreat, just to be clear. So a lot of you, that's why I'm saying church. Like some of you are literally doing extra thing in group activities. Some of you are doing extra things in your work routine that is making you connect to other people. And the more connections that you're having feel wonderful. Now, some of you can also be looking at the idea of traveling. And in that travel, you meet somebody. Whether that travel is for work, whether that travel is just for you getting away from everybody, you can meet somebody that doesn't live where you live. And it might start something off very long distance right now. You might be connecting with somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time. And how would you be connecting to them? Through the internet. Because they don't live near you anymore. And you're picking up connections with old people again. And the more and more you're connecting with them, the better it's making you feel. Enjoy that. Enjoy the good while you have it. Because you've had a heaviness for a long while the nodes have been going through your 12th house and your 6th house. And by the way, I'm about to start that myself, so I know how you feel. I'm really going to know how you feel because I haven't done this in a while, but it's coming. There's going to be an adjustment. The pain and the heaviness, I don't foresee new pain coming through for you guys for a while. New fears, not so much. Old fears coming back around, yes. But new fears, not so much. We have some adjustments coming. We have something coming at work. We have something in our routine. We have somebody that comes through that's new travel, that's through travel. Some of you are getting an opportunity presented to you literally through the church, through like a group, like you've gone to church, you've gone to the school and like, oh, hey, my job is hiring. Oh, hey, I know somebody that wants to buy a house. Oh, hey, I know. Let me introduce you. Let me, show you this area. Let me show you this group. Let me show you this. And it is through this new connection that more things are building. Some of the people that are coming through for you right now, it doesn't have to be romantic. It really doesn't. It can actually just be more and more people that could help grant you peace, that could help you get through this time of where you need to build your routine. The people that you are connecting with right now can really help you heal over the next year. Okay. Oh, for Capricorn and Capricorn risings. Y'all about to make a commitment. Not in this new moon necessarily, but y'all got some commitments coming, some new commitments, commitments to do a certain level of work, a certain level in your routine. Some of you are getting new commitments in work, like you have finally had an opportunity presented to you, a job opportunity, the ability to transform the way that you connect with money and the way that you connect with clients. Something is finally coming full circle right now. You're starting to see this manifestation energy come around, and it's going to require certain amounts of changes in your communication, certain amounts of changes in your branding, changes in the way that you connect with certain people. Some of you, with this new moon in the 6th squaring Neptune in the 3rd, some of you are going to be so tired of doing the exact same thing over and over again that we are just making the decision, absolutely just making the decision that I am going to change something. I've got too many cars. I'm tired of working at all 5 cars, and none of them are working. Okay. I don't need 6 motorcycles that won't start. Listen, Sonny Barger. Listen, Henry Ford. Whoever you are in that moment. Get rid of all the broken cars and focus on one good car that's going to run for you. I am a Jeeper that just said that. I know. I was like, most Jeepers have extra car parts, not necessarily an extra car. No, we usually have an extra car. I have an extra vehicle. My bad. Some of you are finally going to have a communication. You're going to finally have the communication, the conversation. You're going to go somewhere for work, and there's a mystery around with where you're going, but it allows for a turnaround to happen. Some of you are going to finally reach out to a person, to a situation that is going to trigger the change inside of you to start to transform something. Saturn is your chart ruler turning retrograde during this new moon. During this energy, you are ready to turn something around. Saturn is in the 3rd house. This is a short distance travel house. This is why I brought up the car thing and the bike thing. Like, you can literally just like, I'm done with 7 broken cars. I need 1 running one. It's time to turn this around. It's time to quit putting all of my money into this and streamline it to where if it's just going to be me putting money into something, at least just make it a car payment versus a car payment here, all the repairs over here. This isn't running. I have no idea where the title is for this. Like, we're just running around with our head cut off going, I got too much. I need to streamline. Some of you are starting to see an area in regards to your work and your routine that you can start a change, and that again is going to impact your finances. It's either going to be a part of that streamlined process, or it's going to be a whole new ball game that really starts to transform the way that you make money. This would be a part of that commitment. And it's a slow commitment. You don't fully know how the interactions are going to go. You don't fully know how everything is going to happen. You don't fully know how everything is going to break through and launch. But you know that you have to make the decision to work through it or start it or streamline it. Like, this is the 3 that I'm having. We have to start the conversation with the person. We have to start the healing process for ourselves. Some of it's emotional stuff. Saturn in Pisces has stirred up all of the emotions. And I know since that Sagittarius full moon, a lot of you guys have been triggered with past things, past people, past situations. And you're rolling through a theme right now of like, I need to settle these things out. And to do the settlement, that means we have to commit to a change, to a transition, to having a certain conversation with somebody that allows for the adjustments and the change to continue, to happen. This commitment to a change is either going to lead to financial transformation over the next 4 months, or it's going to lead to spiritual transformation over the next 4 months, or it's going to lead to full-on emotional transformations, communicative transformations. The way that you talk to people, the way that you think about yourself, the way that you brand yourself to other people, the way that you connect with people, they're meant to change. And they're going to really start to impact how your future is going to look, how your career is going to go over the next few years. But for that career to really launch, for that future that you have been wanting to really launch, we have to make a change in our way of thinking, a change in the communication, a change in our routine, committing to do the work, committing to do the healing, committing to do the transformation, committing to the financial adjustment, the streamline, whatever it is. Considering Jupiter, the ruler of the third, is in your fifth house of children, some of you are not in the commitment mode. It's like watching. You have enough experience in this area. Now you're seeing it unfold. Some of you, especially if you're much older, you're seeing children. You're seeing the young ones, you know. I want to tell her I love her and I want to propose to her. And you're just seeing how that all unfolds. And then you're seeing that shift in your family. You're seeing that shift with your children. You're seeing that shift in them, and you're seeing those commitments are being made. Not all of you are making the commitment. Some of you are just the support. Now, another element. This is a new moon in your sixth house of health, squaring Neptune in your third. There can be a health situation. There can be something that starts to flare in your health that is not easily recognizable, that is not easily understood. Saturn is in Pisces, which is also Neptune's sign. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. The turnaround might have a mystery energy tied to it. It might not be directly clear. It might not be directly understood. Some of you can be making a commitment to do something that you can only understand on a spiritual level. Some of you can be feeling something going on in your health that really is starting to connect and take shape, and it is going to lead to disruptions before it leads to transformations. And that can really tie into the things that start to happen in July and August. If we've had a change in our health, in a positive sense, then we need to build a new routine and a new way of thinking about that routine. If we've had a change in our health that has not been positive, then we might start to feel something come through. And considering Saturn as your chart ruler, you might start to feel the turnaround literally in your body in fluid-like areas. Fluidity, anything in regards to your lymphatic system, anything in regards to like mysterious fluids. I'm getting fluid but I'm also looking at Saturn's in a water sign. Neptune is squaring that new moon in Gemini, which is about communication and our mindset and things like this. There's a logical explanation to the turnaround, but we don't know what it is yet. We haven't seen the full cycle yet. We haven't seen the full encompassing yet, but you're going to start to see the inklings. For some of you, this is about work, and that's going to be great. For some of you, this is going to be about health, and that might necessarily not be great. If we had health issues that were coming through last year, so any timeline while Mars was going through Gemini, then you might be having something from that timeline come to light that doesn't necessarily make sense. Well, what do you mean? I've got like an extra, pocket in my stomach right now. What do you mean? You can't explain why my legs are swelling and holding fluid. What do you mean? Like this weird thing that's like popping up out of my neck that it's tied to my my knee surgery. What? There will be some element that does not make sense. It's going to take time to work through it. It's going to take time to understand it. If you're in the more positive sense, then it's going to be taking the time to build that new routine and to build the new things and getting things going. If it's the work stuff, it's going to take some time to get to the new area, to start connecting to new people, to really start to like get your teeth sunk into the new job and the new experience. There is a turnaround. And it's going to be a little slow going. Slow can be good, slow can be bad. Depends on your situation. If you're trying to get more money, then the slow can be bad. If you're dealing with health issues, the slow could be good, because it might mean more time to figure something out. Okay. Oh, for Aquarius and Aquarius risings, this is a new moon in your 5th house of children. Love, romance, happiness, joy, children. Where is this new moon squaring? Here's the new moon right here. It is squaring Neptune in your 2nd house of money. You might literally just be watching your kids want to start something new. If you have a little bit older kids, maybe they're starting their first job and you have no idea what they're going to do with their new job and how they're going to like handle doing their money. Humor me as I say that. Some of you might be having to make some adjustments in your kids' routine and in your kids' health, or just in general around the kids, because it's going to not just benefit you, but it's going to benefit your partner. Some of you, your kids are potentially going to be going back to somewhere they haven't been in a long time. Let's say if you live in a different state than where, you first had your kids, then they could be like, can we go to grandma's house this summer? I want to go to the beach. I want to go to the lake. Can we go camping? Yes, you can go to grandma's house. You can stay there all summer. I don't care. Especially if they're high maintenance kids. And that again comes with working out the logistics, working out the plans, working out some of that. But considering Saturn, one of your chart rulers, is turning retrograde during this new moon, yeah, there can be an element tied to elders. There can be an element just tied to finances. Your luck can be shifting financially. If you've been struggling with getting your bearing straight in regards to your finances, this new moon in your 5th house of luck, squaring Neptune in the 2nd, while your chart ruler is also in the 2nd, can mean you turning around the energy tied to your finances. Something that you would have been dealing with or just started back at the beginning of this year, somewhere between December and March. Say we started a new job or a new career or a new obligation, and it has taken time for that to fully come to fruition in a great area and start to really, take shape, because we've been questioning, did I make the right call? Did I make the right call? You're going to know after this new moon if you made the right call. You're going to see that difference whenever you start to connect to certain people. You're going to be having conversations that you literally just, if you were always trying to read a script before, but now you finally got that script ingrained and you've personalized it and you've made it yours, it's like it flows like butter. It's just smooth. And all of a sudden things start to click. The finances start to click. The relationships, the relations that you're making with other people, they all start to click. The way that you're connecting it and getting people to commit to things, especially if you're in a sales job, the way that you're getting people to commit to things, they start to click. It all starts to kind of fall into place. We've had some adjustments. We've had some changes. Saturn, your chart ruler, is turning around in that 2nd house of money. If you've had good luck for a while, really superb luck, then you might feel like your luck is slowing down. To be clear, Saturn is your chart ruler turning retrograde. You can get some foot and mouth disease and literally your mouth can overload your ass. And it might be all of a sudden oh, everything was going great. I felt like every person I talked to, they signed a deal, they signed a contract, they bought from me. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, crap. Some of you might be going into a new business or going into a new partnership that before you can have the full benefit, before you can have all the happiness, the joy, the luck, and the return and everything from it, you've got to invest more money into it. You have to get it updated and upgraded. You have to buy new curtains. There's a joke behind the curtains. But you got to buy something new. You have to, adjust some things. What you need to understand is sooner or later, some of those adjustments are also going to impact your home life. Don't overspend. Be smart about your budget. Be smart about your budget. Okay. Oh, for Pisces and Pisces rising, this is a new moon in your 4th house of home life, and family. What is this new moon squaring? Neptune in your 1st. Saturn is turning retrograde in your 1st. You are ready to turn something around. You are looking at new parts of your routine, new things in work, new things with clients and with friends. We need to adjust because we need to start to adjust the financial area that has been drained since last year, since that full moon in Sag. Honestly, little things have occurred since that full moon in Sag, so literally since last June, that has impacted your finances, it's impacted your money, it's impacted you, certain relations that have come through, relationships and obligations that have come through that they weren't good for you, they weren't the right thing, and now those things are kind of coming full circle as well. It's time to adjust something. And for many of you, the focus right now is home life, family, roots, ancestry, skeletons in the closet. Considering the Venus retrograde is going to be in your 6th house, I need to be very, very clear that later this year, some of the things that are going on right now are going to come back around. And if we have the skeleton in the closet situation, that can be a part of that. If there were disruptions last August to March in the home life with your family, within the family life, then the discussion can be right now to turn that around. And that can be a good thing. Getting things worked out with family, getting things streamlined for your kids, getting things put into new order. I don't want to say put back into place. Into a new order, into a new routine. Venus's retrograde in the 6th house is going to impose a true adjustment in regards to work, how you care for yourself, how you care for other people, how you care for your children, how you care for your loved ones. Venus rules your 3rd house of communication, which is also your 3rd house of siblings. You can be having an adjustment in your home life directly tied to your family, tied to your siblings. Some of you might be looking at the 4 walls that you're in going, I'm tired of living here. I'm tired of this situation. All I have are the bad memories. I'm tired of this town. I'm gone. And take this job and shove it. And take this town and shove it. I'm gone. And we might really be feeling the inkling to move. There has been opportunities for some of you to move before and you didn't. For whatever reason, it didn't feel right at the time. Now that it's coming a little bit more full circle, we're starting to realize maybe my brother was right when he said to not stay living in this town and going to college. Maybe mom was right when she said to do something else, to go somewhere else, to do the extra thing. But to move, that means finding a new job. That means connecting with new people. That means getting a transfer if you can stay with your job. Some people you could just transfer. And it's like looking for the transfer opportunity. There are things that you are needing to adjust, and most likely this adjustment has to do with your family. With your family, around your loved ones, and this is not new territory. For Pisces risings, this is really not new territory. This is going to be directly corresponded to anything and everything that has occurred that has been disruptive for you in the last year. You're going to realize that the only way that you can have a secure, safe family and home life is to relocate, is to make a change, is to do something new. The only way that you're going to be able to afford your home life on your own, because many of you with Saturn in your first, you're starting to become very isolated from people. That means you have to step up at work. You have to get a different job. You have to take a new step at work. You have to build something new. You have to try for promotion. There is an adjustment, a huge adjustment around family, around your home life that is really taking shape. And I don't feel like for a lot of you that this is going to be a surprise. But with Saturn turning retrograde in your first, you are the one changing something. You are making this change. You are making this call. Like, nope, I'm sick of this. Nope, I'm not putting up with this. No, I will not deal with your shit. No, no, and no. Now, let's add an extra element. The Venus retrograde is going to be in your 6th house of health. Venus is now in your 6th house of health, and she's trying to catch up with Mars right now. She's not going to, but she's trying to. There can be things in regards to health, intestinal health, your sexual organ health, things in these areas that can be disrupted right now. If you're having some additional stomach pains, do not discredit that. Do not discount that. Don't just pass it off as, oh, I think I got a little bit of gas. No. You can tell I'm a country girl, by the way. I think I'm just a little bit bloated, and I think I just need less sodium and more water. Let's be really clear. Leo, the ruler of your 6th house of health, rules the heart chakra and things right here. Venus rules your kidneys. There can be things tied to chest, blood sugar, anything in regards to, like, think feminine now, because I'm so think in your breast and in this area, there can be something in your health that starts to come through. There can be something in regards to another member in your family and their health that starts to disrupt your routine. That's going to grab your focus, and it's going to grab what's going on. Some of you, it's going to be a whole other person that you suddenly need to focus on, and you didn't even know you needed to focus. But that is what starts the turnaround. It really comes down to where you're at in your age. Not everybody's going to have to go taking care of mom. Not everybody's going to go change something in their job. And not everybody's going to move away, 3 states. Everybody's kind of in different areas, but these are the different patterns I'm seeing for Pisces risings. And the biggest one of all is that we need to make an adjustment around the matrons of the family, so mothers, moms, home life, roots, ancestry, the skeletons in the closet. Secrets can start to come out. Those secrets can be tied to a health issue that you are not aware of, but there are going to be things that start to come to the surface soon and that start to be recognized by you, and it's going to enforce a turnaround in you. Saturn puts a lot of weight in the 1st house. Saturn makes you take on Saturnian energies. I call him Daddy Saturn for a reason. And the thing is whenever you are in that Saturnian energy, they either respect you or they can't stand you. There's no in between. It is full on maturity energy with Saturn in the 1st, and it either is going to make you level up as a person, or it starts to drive a wedge between you and everybody that's been holding you back. And it can be a mix of both. We're not being held back anymore. We're not letting our friends take over anymore. We are not, going to put everything into the past. We are looking for new ways forward. Some of this is going to be about relocating. Some of you, this is going to be about your work and in your routine. Some of you are just needing to move to start a new leaf. And some of you are going to be forced to focus on the health and the routine of a family member. And you don't even know it's necessarily coming. Some of you, it's going to be a surprise. Okay. I actually do like this new moon. I do like it. And I know it's hard to believe because of like some of the things that I say, but I don't just look at the new moon or a single transit as just that transit. I look at the before and after, and I'm pretty sure most of you know that by now. I look at the pattern of where things have been before. I look at where the pattern of things are going, and I realize that time is truly a fabric, and I will tie those timelines together, letting you know this can be one hiccup that results in stuff later. This can be something from this timeline. We're weaving together timelines, guys. I keep saying it. We're weaving stuff together. We're weaving together one timeline to another. We're bringing people back. There is an element of time and karma and elders and the way that things have been done for a period of time are belief systems that need to get adjusted. And we don't even fully understand the adjustments that are necessary, but this new moon squaring Neptune as Saturn is turning retrograde in Pisces, oh yes, there is a turnaround in the belief system. There is a turnaround in the way that we see certain things, in certain traditions. It is time to take a very hard look in certain areas and understand that there are new ways of doing things that don't follow tradition, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't. Traditions can evolve. Once upon a time, there was no radio, there was no TV, there was no music. Your nightly tradition was to just talk and make sound or read at night if you could read. Not everybody had the gift of knowledge. That's one thing that this generation has that we take for granted is we have knowledge. We have toys. We have certain things. The good old days aren't necessarily as good old days as we remember. There's a reason we have generational trauma. There is a full-on reason we have generational trauma that needs to be overcome, that needs to be worked through, and that requires us to change tradition. Because tradition for a long time was granddaddy abused daddy, that daddy abused the next daddy, that daddy abused his kids, and now we have an entire generation of people going, that's got to stop. Just because life was hard for you doesn't mean it needs to be hard for everybody. Not everybody needs to learn a lesson the hard way. And I say this so many times, and if you are a Saturnian person, I know you have to learn lessons the hard way. For whatever reason, the only way you learn the fire is hot is by touching the fire, and I get that. But some people can just see flame and go, no, thank you. Some people can just feel heat and go, no, thank you. Not everybody has to touch the fire. Not everybody has to believe in the same faith. Not everybody has to believe in the same traditions. Not everybody has to believe in the same ideas. But to work through the transition into the new, to weave one tradition into another one, to bring certain things back together, to bring certain transitions full circle, it's going to take time. And it takes a bit of a reality check sometimes to turn around the mindset, to turn around the way we see things, to turn around our faith and our tradition and the way things are going. This week going into the new moon in the Gemini, and then the week following the new moon in Gemini it's days of transitions. I've said this before, we are transitioning. We're weaving together timelines, we're weaving together situations, we're weaving together our traditions, we're weaving together our beliefs, we're weaving things together and transitioning into new energy, new power, new long-term stability that has never been seen before in our lifetime, in our elders' lifetime. And I'm talking about the elders that are alive right now. I'm not talking about ancestors. I am talking about the people that are alive right now that have literally seen TV go all the way to what it is now, that remember the days before the internet. Okay, some of us had Walkmans. And so many people like, no, I don't like change. I only want this belief system. But baby, that belief system went out of date with the old wood paneling. Okay, it did. It's time to transition. And there's so much of this energy that is about transition, whether it's small transitions of just one part of time, or if it's full on transitions of going from, I'm going to only follow what grandma said, to, no, hell no, I'm going to rebuild the entire world with spirituality. Whatever it is, we're in a transition. This new moon brings forth transitional energy. It transitions us into new things. It's transitioning us into a new area of life. And those new areas of life, whether good, bad, or ugly, they're going to start to come through over these next few months. We're going to see certain solid things come through. We're transitioning. Doesn't have to be a bad thing. In fact, it can be really, really good if you allow it to be. All right. Oh, hit me up with questions. Hit me up with concerns. I do read the comments. It might take me a day or two to respond to them because I usually just do that on the computer whenever I sit down. If you're wanting to book an appointment, the best way to get a hold of me is to go to the Spiritually Bougie Astrology page on Facebook and to DM me. If I don't respond, that's because my phone is probably on Do Not Disturb and I'm doing something like this. So I'm happy to book readings. I'm trying to do that into July. I feel like, though, after we get to July 10th, that the things are going to go crazy, and then I'm going to go to like case-by-case appointments only. And I do that usually during eclipse season, but something tells me that when we get to July in transitioning of the nodes and all that other stuff with the Venus retrograde, then I'm going to need to do it then too. So I'm accepting appointments up until basically July 10th, and then it's going to go to case-by-case basis. I love and appreciate every single one of you. You guys have no idea. I sincerely mean that. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. I'll see you soon. Bye.